Adonai Siftai Tiftach Fiagi Tiratecha. We're here on the Hilula of the Baba Sali. Baba Sali, as we know, is very, very big, very well known. Hashem. His name was Rav Yisrael Abuchatzira. He was born in the 1st of Tishrei, 5650. And born in 26th of September, 1879. And he passed away in the 4th of Shabbat, which is today, 5744. January 9th, 1984. He was born in the land of Lisani, and he was born to a father. His father was Rav Mas'ud Abuchatzira. Rav Mas'ud, they were part of they were from Morocco. His father, Rabbi Mas'ud, the whole family of Abuchatzira was they were all Kedoshim, they were all holy. And I guess let's start off with Rav Mas'ud. Rav Mas'ud, Baba Sali's father. One time, there was in a city, this one Arabic guy, one Muslim guy, that was terrorizing the Jews over there, terrorizing the Jews in the city. That he would just come and just terrorize men, women, children, randomly start coming, beating them up for no reason. And they didn't want to tell anybody about anything. They didn't want to tell any of the policemen, any of the officers, anything, because they were whatever. They didn't know what it would do, what thing it would cause. So they said, "Listen, we're gonna let it go, let it pass the time, and eventually he'll get some second and stop." So one time, it was on Shabbat. We were praying, and this guy Ahmed, his name was Ahmed, he comes and he starts beating someone up, beating up a crippled guy, gets a crippled guy, starts beating him up. So then on Shabbat they close the doors, and they close the doors of the shul so that he shouldn't come in. And who's in the shul? Rav Mas'ud. Rav Mas'ud was someone that wasn't afraid of anyone, wasn't afraid of anybody, because the Torah says Lo tagu mipnei ish. So he said, "What's going on?" They said that there is a person over here. There is this Muslim guy. We don't want to tell the Rav because the Rav is always in Tani Dibur and it's busy learning and everything. So we didn't want to bother the Rav. He said, "This is happening in my city and I didn't even know about it." He says, "I have to put a stop to it." He tries to go. He goes, and then his students, try to stop him. He says, no, Kodarav, you can't do it, because listen, he's gonna hurt you. He's gonna do something hard. He's gonna hurt you very badly. This guy is strong. He tells you, "I command you to move so I could deal with this guy." And he said, "No, please, please, please." In the end, he goes and he sees this Ahmed, what he's doing with his community. He goes over to him, he taps him on the shoulder. Ahmed turns around, and Rabbi Mas'ud gives him 2 slaps on the face And everybody's looking at this and all shocked. They're all shocked, they're wondering, they're saying, that's it. Today, Rabbi Mas'ud is dead. He's dead. There's no way. So they they all shocked, everybody shocked. And then they all see that this Ahmad goes on all fours. He's going on the ground and starts crying hysterically. Crying, he's saying, he's going crying and kissing the Rav's feet. He says, I'm sorry, I'll never do this again. I'm sorry, I'm very, very sorry. So, this was Rav Mas'ud Abukhazir, the Baba Sali's father. Now, the Baba Sali's brother, Baba Sali was younger, was the youngest. So he had his older brother named Rav David Abukhazira, and he was almost 24 years older than him, and he died on Kiddush Hashem. So all these stories that I just said and I'm about to say, I heard from Rav Ephraim Kachlon online. Yeah, you can find him online. And I'm just, I heard it from him. He heard it from first source, not just from a book or from a this that. He heard it from people specifically that saw it, that were there, that experienced it. So he heard it from them, and I heard it from him. So there was, whenever the Baba Sali was getting a little bit older, he had helpers. He had a helper that whenever he was looking for a quiet place to learn, very quiet place that he shouldn't be bothered. He should just be in the Torah. So first he was in Ashkelon. He was looking for a place, and then he heard in Ashkelon that there was a person over there, or someone over there that was speaking against the Baal Shem Tov. So he says, I don't want to be in a place that speaking Chas v'Shalom, speaking against the Baal Shem Tov. I can't be in this type of place. So he went to Netivot. Netivot in the middle of the bottom over there, in the south. He goes over there, and he goes close to, and one of the helpers from Yeshivat Negev over there, Rav Yisach Amel, one of the students over there said that he wants to help him. He wants to help the Baba Sali. He would help him, sometimes give him massage because he was very old. Baba Sali was very old, so he would give him massages just to ease the pain. So this story was from him, that one time he saw this one person coming. This one person coming to the Baba Sali, and he was crippled from birth. He was crippled in a wheelchair coming to the Baba Sali. And he's begging the Baba, crying. He says, Baba Sali, please help me. I want to get my leg. I want to walk. I want to be able to. So Baba Sali is looking at him, and he's like, I want to ask you, do you keep any mitzvot? Do you keep Shabbat? Do you keep Tara? Do you keep something, kashrut? He said, nothing. I don't keep anything. He says, so what's the point? Why should I give you why should I pray for your legs to be back? It's better you stay inside the chair. And so, what are you going to do with your feet? Are you going to go make sins, go somewhere you're not supposed to? It's better you stay inside the chair and make less sins. So the person starts crying. He says, Kodalav, anything you tell me, I'm going to take on. I'm going to take on. Please, just tell me just help me. So he says, on one condition, you take everything, Shabbat, Kashrut, Tahara, everything, and I'll help you. He says, I'm ready to take it on. He's ready? I'm ready. He says, okay, fine, come up to me, walk to me. He says, Rab, I'm sorry, I can't walk to you. I came to you because I'm crippled. He says, I tell you to come to me right now. The Baba Sali the guy gets so scared, he automatically starts shaking in his chair and he gets up. He gets up and he says, come to me, walk to me. So he walks to him and he says, walk back to your chair. He walks back to his chair. He said, come back to me. So he said 3 times. 3 times he did this. And he says, from now on, you're able to walk. This guy, happy, goes crazy. He's like, oh, finally. He's going crazy, dancing left and right, everything. So he runs to Yeshivat Negev. And he's saying, everybody's eating over there, the dinner over there. And he's going crazy. Give me a phone. I need to call my family. Tell them what happened. Tell them that. They're like, what happened? He said, listen, I was crippled from birth. But Sali healed me and this and that, and nobody believed it. They were like, no, what do you mean? How's it possible? How's this? How's that? They went to Baba Sali. He said, yeah, he was going crazy. Baruch Hashem, from this thing, he did tshuva. He kept his word. So this was from the helper. This story that Rabbi Chaim heard. This wasn't from some type of thing. Now, Baruch, the Baba Sali's son, he's still alive, Sheikh, Baruch Hashem. So he wrote a book called Sitna Baba Sali, and in the book, he has, I think, about 2 sections of books, 2 sections of stories of the Baba Sali. And in this book, in one of the stories, he was explaining how the Baba Sali was mamash deeply against wigs. So one time, he's explaining how he was against it. And one time there was a distant relative from the Baba Sali. She was distant, but still had some connection with the Baba Sali. That she wore a wig, but she heard that the Baba Sali was against it, so whatever, she hid it. She wore it, but she hid it. She didn't want to make a big deal out of it. So whenever she heard one time, so that the Baba Sali explained, he says, any woman that puts on a wig on herself, that wears a wig on herself, she's preparing lighting material that will be used in Gehenom. They put it under the fire just for it to burn more, just for her to feel the pain, or to feel the fire more. So she hears this and she starts laughing. Okay, listen, starts making jokes. My wig is not so long. It's gonna be fast. It's not gonna burn for so long. So whenever the second she says this, she starts getting very, very terrible pains in her head, terrible pains. She couldn't handle it. In the end, they bring her to the Baba Sali, and he says, on one condition, you take off the wig, get rid of it. Get rid of it. And he was also, the Baal also explains how the Baba Sali was also very, very makpid on having on a man having a beard. Why? Because he says, why you look like a woman? You're supposed to have the face of a man. One time he saw a man. A man came to him. He says, why don't you have a beard? Why you look like a woman? Why you have a baby face? Just grow out, please grow it out. He says, Kodalab, I'm sorry, I can't grow it out. My wife, this and that and everything. He says, any man, the Baba Sali says this, any man that grows a beard, half of his avonot, half of his sins half of his sins are gonna get forgiven. So he says, listen, of course I want to, but my wife, she can't live with it. She doesn't like it. He says, just please try to do it. So this was the time of the Omer. So he was able to get away with a little bit. He was starting the Omer and everything. And then became, so the wife didn't bother him. Then became Lamid Daled Ba'omer, the 34th day, which is when you're allowed to shave. So the wife comes over to him and says, no, take it off. Now it's the 34th day, take it off. He says, no, listen, I decided to be a little bit more stringent this year and go until Shavuot. So she says, okay, fine, whatever. So time passes, he's growing out the beard. Then after Shavuot, the wife comes over to him with a shaver already and says, no, take it off. I can't stand you with this. You look like a caveman. It's all over. Some people, they grow over here. They grow all over the place. So she was like, I can't take this. I said, listen, I'm gonna reveal to you that the Baba Sali told me that if I don't shave my beard, if I don't touch my beard, if I don't touch it, not if I don't shave, if I don't touch it, if I let it grow, the Baba Sali said, if you don't touch it. So he says, if I don't touch my beard, then half of my avonot are gonna be forgiven. So she says, he says, no problem. You tell your Rav, tell the Baba Sali, that if I have to suffer with you having the beard, I want my avonot also, half of my avonot also. I can't just you and that's it, and I have to suffer. So he goes back. He says, because I love, my wife. I told you she's not so into it. She says, I have to suffer whenever he's having this big beard. So he says, so he gives the promise. Says, any woman that doesn't bother her husband to grow a beard, her half of her avonot are also forgiven. So the Baba Sali, as we see, he was very kadosh, very tsanua, very tahol, everything. He didn't even think of maybe I should look here, maybe I should look there. It's all, everything was him was kedusha. Everything of his whole body, everything was covered. It was all pure, kadosh and tsanua. And so all this he did for kedusha. All these things with the beard and the. So one time there was a story of they were making a mikveh, they were digging a mikveh, but there was no rain, there was nothing there, and it was in the middle of Tammuz. So he was digging the mikveh. And they were asking him, so why are we digging this? There's no water, there's no rain, there's no nothing. We're digging this for no reason. He says, no, you dig, the rain is from heaven. As Masechet Ta'anit says, rain is from heaven. That's for Hashem to take care of, not for us. We have to do our own hishtadlut, our own effort, and Hashem is going to take care of the rain. So they're digging, and once they're finished, they said, okay. Now the Baba Sali starts praying, says, please, we did our thing, now it's up to you. I'm doing this for the Kedusha, for the Am Yisrael. So at that second, once he stops praying, it starts raining. And it fills up the whole entire mikvah. Everybody's happy, and then one person comes over to the Baba and says, why? I totally forgot. So what did you forget? He says that there's a chumrah, there's a stringency of a Nudab Yehuda. There's one Rav, one Pesek, that he made a stringency. He says that we forgot the stringency. Baba Sali immediately tells him, turn over the mikvah, close it up, put the dirt back in. They said they were shocked. They were, what do you mean? This is we just the rain was so rare. Now we're just gonna throw. Okay, we have something. Let's tell you soon. He said no, no, no. He says for kedusha we do not have leniencies. We go chumrah all the way. We take every single possible thing we can possibly do. He said, but we don't rely on miracles. He says we do it all the way. There's no questions. So they filled it up again, and they're digging it up again. They filled it up, and they're digging a new one up. So he said he starts crying to Shamayim, starts praying. He says, Hashem, I'm doing this for Kedusha. I'm doing this for Am Yisrael, to be 100%. So he starts crying, and he starts also, he says, Noda Yehuda, starts speaking to him. He says, since we did your stringency, I want you to pray to Hashem that we get that biskut you, where he's gonna fill this mikvah. Right when he stops praying, the mikvah automatically fills up again. Automatically fills up. They did the whole entire the stringency. As we know, it's a very very known thing that the Baba Sali did a lot of things with arak, with any type of, with alcohol in general. He did a lot of things, a lot of wonders, miracles, and it was always with the arak, always with the thing. So he always had crazy kavanot with the arak, and with everything. Everything he did was always kavanot, always like deep kavanot. Not just we think, okay, we're reading the thing and we have the kavanot of the pshat, of the simple. He was thinking worlds above, worlds below, everything, all these different levels and everything. So one time he had two of his students come to his house to where, and he said he had two of his students. One of them named David, and one of them Rabbi David, and one Rabbi Shlomo. So he says, okay, right now we're gonna all fill up glasses, the shot glasses. Glasses. So he says, we're all gonna drink. We're gonna drink the whole thing, with all these kavanot, all these everything. So one of them couldn't drink. He couldn't drink so much. So he put it in a small cup, and he drank from that cup. He put it a little bit smaller, a little bit less, and he drank that. So the Baba Sali was having the kavanot and everything, and he was like, wait, something's wrong. He said, wow. He said, there's a problem. He says, someone did not drink the cup. Who didn't drink the cup? That was one of the person that didn't drink. He says, yes, Kudarav, I'm sorry, I couldn't drink. I couldn't do it. He says, what'd you do? So what do you mean? He says, I was doing all these kavanot, all these everything, because I saw that our names all put together was Shin Dalet Yud. One of the names of Hashem. So Shin Dalet Yud. We have Shlomo, David, and me is Israel. Shin Dalet Yud. So he says, I was doing all these kavanot to make our tzarot, to finish our tzarot, to tell our darot, our tzarot, our sufferings, die. Die means stop, enough. So he says, if we would have drinking the cups, and all these kavanot and all these everything, I would have told the tzarot of Am Yisrael, of the nation of Israel, to stop, and the Mashiach would have came. The Geula would have came closer. So he says, he says, "What'd you do? What'd you do?" He says, "No, Kvod Rav, no problem. I'll drink the whole bottle. The whole bottle. Give me the whole bottle. I'll drink the whole bottle." He says, "Nah, the time already passed. I'm sorry." He says, "The time already passed." So, Rav Ovadia sometimes came over to him. Whenever Rav Ovadia came over to Baba Sali, he treated him like a king. Always, wow, I love you, I this, I that. Always with respect, always with kavod. There was actually one story that I heard from my Rav Yaron Oven. So he was saying, yeah, there was one. He was saying that whenever one time the Baba Sali came over to his assistant, he had special clothes for Shabbat. He always had special white clothes for Shabbat to look nice. So one time he never wore it in the weekday. He tells his helper, he says, "Listen, I want you to bring me my Shabbat clothes." He says, "What do you mean Shabbat? It's not. It's in the middle of the week." He says, "No, give me the Shabbat clothes." He says, "What do you mean?" He says, "There's a person right now coming that his kedusha is similar to Shabbat. He's such a kadosh, such a pure person. He's like the same, basically, close. So I want to wear it to honor him. The same way that I wear the clothes to honor Shabbat, I want to wear the clothes to honor him." So who is this person? This person, Rav Ovadia. He came, he said, "This wrong generation. He's not supposed to be here. He's here just to help us." So he loved Rav Ovadia. So he said one time, so going back to the story, he said one time to Rav Ovadia, he says, "You don't come so often. Please stay here, and we're gonna give you the kavod." He says, "What is this small mizonot, small thing, cracker, whatever it is?" He says, "Stay. We're gonna give you nice keves, whatever the sheep, goat, cow, whatever it is. We'll give you a nice meat, nice feast." So he says, "I'm sorry, I can't stay. I have to go to shiur. I have to give a shiur." He says, "Please stay. If you stay, we're gonna do nice things. We're gonna do nice kavanot. We're gonna pray and everything. I'm gonna bring the Geulah closer, the redemption closer." So he says, "I'm sorry, but even for binyan Bet HaMikdash, even for building the Bet HaMikdash, we don't nullify the shiurim, the shiurim of Tinokot Shel Bet Rabban. We don't nullify them. We keep with the shiur. Even for building the Bet HaMikdash, we don't cancel shiur Torah. You never cancel shiur Torah." He says, "I'm sorry, I have to go." So Rav Ovadia understood what it is, Torah, what it is to always teach Torah, what it is to spread Torah in the world. Torah was the number one thing, is the number one thing. So, with Arak, the Baba Sali, whenever he heard someone, whenever there are people with ulcers, Shem Yelchem, in their body, to drink or to anything spicy is very bad for them. It hurts, it burns. So, but whenever someone would come over to him with this type of condition, the Baba Sali would automatically give them a full cup, not a small, a full cup of arak. He says, "Drink this." He says, "What do you mean? I can't drink this. It's gonna burn." He says, "Drink it. It's okay." He drank it. Everything went away. It's like it never existed. He used to, like I said, all these kavanot. We just do it. We're gonna maybe kill a guy. The Baba Sali, he was in a different level. He was different, something else. So one time there was also a story with Rav Yuda Tzadka. Rav Yuda Tzadka, Zecher Tzadik V'Racha. So one time he came over to the Baba Sali, and he said, "Okay, listen, drink with me. I have some a little bit of arak." So he took it and he drank a little sip. He says, "No, drink the whole thing, please." He says, "Listen, I can't. I have to go back to Yerushalayim." He says, you know what? I'm not regular in this. If I drink it, I'm gonna, it's gonna, I can't go home properly. Man, I'm gonna go home in I don't know, 5 hours instead of a few hours. So he says, you drink this, and I promise you, nothing. You're not gonna feel it. You're not gonna feel any small little thing until the door of your house. He says, you sure? He says, yes. Okay, he drank it. He went. He went on the bus. He went everything. Once he went to his door, then he started feeling a little bit off. He started feeling tipsy. Once he came to his door, then he started feeling okay. I'm a little bit off. So now there's a very wonderful story, wonderful story of Sali, that he used to randomly just disappear for months, randomly. People had no idea where he went. Sometimes he would go to different communities to give them chizuk, to help them. But sometimes he would just go into an attic, go into like a room, and just stay there for like 3 months at a time, and learn nonstop, learn and pray and learn every single time. We can't even learn for 3 hours without checking our phone, doing something, saying, "Listen, let me go eat." Oh, listen, the Torah says to eat. No, you have to eat. You have to help. He 3 months inside consistently. I mean, he consecutive learning. He would have his window open from the room that he was in, straight aiming towards the shul, so that whenever he heard the minyan, he would be able to pray minyan with them. But he would stay inside the attic, and only his wife knew. Only his wife knew. So one time there was a story of he was invited after this thing, after he was staying in the attic for 3 months. He was invited to a meal, to like a sudat mitzvah. So he saw that people were waiting. He says, "Why is everybody waiting? Why aren't we starting anything?" So he goes over to somebody. He says, why are we waiting?" He says, "Oh, we're waiting for the head of the community, this head gibor. This guy, he's the head of this, head of that. He doesn't have so much yirat shamayim. He's whatever. He's a little bit off. He's a little bit whatever. But what can we do? He has the money. Bala me'az bala de'ah. He's the one that has the money. So he has the thought. He has the thought of this. He's the head of the thought. So we have to wait for him." So the Baba Sali automatically, he hears this. He says, "No one's waiting for anybody. Wash your hands right now. We're starting to eat." So, okay, fine. Listen, they wait. They listen to the Rav. They listen to the Rav. They wash the hands. They're eating, and it's the meal is already almost over. Then this guy comes. He sees nobody waited for him. He says, "What is it, chutzpanim? Well, you guys didn't wait for me. You didn't anything. You didn't. What is this? What is this?" No. Listen. Baba Sali said, "Who's this Baba Sali? What do I care about?" He sees the Baba Sali. The Baba Sali has had a very tough, straight face. So Baba Sali looks at him and starts screaming at him. He's get out of here, you Rasha, what are you doing? He starts screaming at him, embarrassing. He says, get out. He starts beating him with a stick. He says, get out of here. So after the meal, everybody's shocked. One of the way this guy never got this type of shock ever in his life. Never got this type of attitude. So after the meal, people went over to the Baba Sali. He says, "Kvod Rav, please let me teach me what just happened. Why'd you scream at this guy?" He says, "There was one time a story." Baba Sali is saying the story. He says one time, it was whenever I was younger. speaking about his older brother, Rav David. Rav David, 24 years older than him, he passed away. He was saying how one time he was also at a meal, and he was at a meal with his brother, with his older brother, and his older brother was like the head. He was the head of the thing. So we had the basically same experience, that he was waiting. He was saying, "Why are we waiting? We're waiting for the head of the community, different guy." So he says, "No waiting for him. Start right away." So after a while, this guy comes. He says, "Why didn't you wait for me? This, that," and again, Rabbi David says, "Yerasha, get out of here!" He starts screaming at him, beating him, everything. Baba Sali comes over to him, and he says, "Older brother, what happened? Why'd you scream at him?" He says, "I didn't scream at him. I didn't." Rabbi David is saying, "I didn't scream at him. You saw me screaming at him?" He says, "Okay, listen, you didn't scream at him. What just happened over here?" He says, "When this guy walked in, he said, I didn't scream at him. I screamed at the mazik, at the demon that he created. Why? Because he just did an avera. So he brought the demon with him over here. So I was telling the demon, you have no right to be here. I was screaming, get out of here, get out of here." He says, my brother saw one mazik with this guy. He said, with this guy that we just saw, I saw 500 altogether. Why? Because whenever we were eating over here, we were doing the Suda, he was doing niyuf. He was doing idolatry. Not idolatry. He was going with the married woman. He was going with the married woman. He's doing these crimes. So he's saying, I saw him with 500 demons just come into the room. I'm not going to tell him to get out. So that's why I screamed at him. I said, this guy. So now there was in the end. So now there's another story. Sometimes whenever the Rav went to other communities to give chizuk and help the other communities, he left for periods of time for his community. So one time whenever he left, this alliance came. It was called Kol Yisrael Chaverim. It was a kiach, Kol Yisrael Chaverim. Now this was the part of the Maskala movement, the Enlightenment, the beginning of the Reform, the whole entire thing. It was called the Maskala movement. The modern people, modernism. Why you need Torah? Why you need this? Why you need Rabbanim? Come to the university. We're going to teach you all these things: how to be a mathematician, how to be a doctor, how to be. Rav Ovadia used to say all these things. Doctor. What is doctor? Doctor is kotz v'daldal. Is thorns and thistles. He says the two doctors, dal, doctor and doctor. He says, why do you have to leave the Torah to learn this dvarim chitzonim, these outsider things? Everything's in the Torah. Everything's in the Torah. So he went and he came back after 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, he saw all these schools of this alliance kiach and everything. So he's like, what in the world just happened? So after he sees this, he says, okay, fine, there's gonna be a full meeting. I'm gonna make a meeting right now. So he calls everybody from the community, from the community, and he says, powerful thing. He says, I see that many of you sent you right now your sons to to these schools. He says, anybody that doesn't remove his son from this school is gonna bury his son this week. He said, this week you're gonna bury your son. Now they were scared. They said, listen, I'll call her. Whatever the Baba Sali says, it's gonna happen. It's not a joke. So they had to remove him. They said, wait, why you remove your kid? No, listen, we gotta remove him. They got him out of there as fast as possible. So we'll end off with one last story. And there was one time that the Baba Sali's driver got into a little mishap with this one Muslim kid, this one guy, this one Muslim, not kid, whatever, young man. So then everybody, they took him and they imprisoned him. So all the Arabs over there they start screaming, yeah, revenge on the Jews, whatever, they get revenge, look what they did, look what this guy did, it's all the Jews, everything. Baba Sali goes over to him and he says, don't worry, I'll get you out of this. I'll get you out of this garbage. So the Baba Sali was very close with the Sal Pnim, I believe this is the Minister of Internal Affairs. Why? Because whenever he had the zchut to live because of the Baba Sali, because of the Baba Sali, he was born. He was able to live. So he owed his life to the Baba. He loved the Baba Sali. Anytime you hear the Baba Sali about the Baba, he used to go crazy. So one time someone came over to him. Like the Baba Sali wanted to see him. So one of the Baba Sali's servants came over to him and he says, Sal Pnim, the Baba Sali wants to see you. Sal Pnim automatically went crazy. He was speaking to someone, to people, whole group of people. He was with a group of people. Right, whenever he heard the Baba Sali wanted to speak, he left everybody in ran. He says, Yedidi, Adoni, what, my master, well, how can I help you? Why'd you come to me? I could have come to you. He says, no, listen, I need your help. My driver, he got into this little mishap, this thing, and I need your help. He says, anything I could do, I'll help you. He says, I need you to cancel the gzera, cancel the decree, pardon him. He says, yes, but there's one problem. He says, I'm the Minister of Internal Affairs. I'm the Sal Pnim, not Sal Mishtara. I'm not the sheriff, the head deputy. I can't do anything. That's the police. So he says, don't worry. From now on, you're the head. You're the Sal Mishtara. He says, yes, Sal Mishtara, but I'm not. I'm the Sal Pnim. He says, I tell you from now on, you're Sal Mishtara. He says, listen, anything that I can do, I'll do it. He says, whatever you say, if you say it, then no problem. Right away, whenever he comes back to his friends, back to the guy that he was talking to, automatically they say, listen, we were looking around the things and everything, and we decided to make you head of the police force, the head deputy. Right away, he heard this. He said, no problem. The driver pardoned. He's free. Don't worry about it. So Baruch Hashem, we could see that all these stories of the Baba Sali, how he was mamash kadosh and everything. He's different level, different thing. We think that tzaddikim act like us, eat like us, drink like us, talk like us, everything like us. We think that they're normal people. They're normal people. They're different level, different story. Baruch Hashem, B'ezrat Hashem, we should be anywhere close to their kedusha. You should understand, listen to their stories, learn from their stories, and one day